Some tattooers build their legacy by mastering tradition. Others by breaking every rule and somehow making it all work. Samazon does both. And she makes it look like fun. Welcome to Skin and Story. Samantha Kuhn, better known as Samazon, tattoos out of Copperhead Tattoo Parlor in Denver, Colorado. Born in 1988 and raised in Kansas, she describes herself as the weird art kid, the one who filled sketchbooks with doodles instead of taking notes. Her parents kept signing her up for art classes, but nothing ever clicked until tattooing came along. She was drawn to subcultures early: hair metal, cartoons, and the colorful misfits who wore their stories on their skin. Tattoos were visual rebellion, and she loved them for that. By 2010, she'd moved to Colorado, trading the plains for the mountains and finding the community that matched her creative energy. Denver was the kind of city where art, grit, and humor could coexist. She fit right in. Her start in tattooing wasn't easy. She found an apprenticeship, dropped out of college, and jumped in head first. Her first mentor sold her to another shop, and the second shop was kind, but in the end they were absent. Now, Samazon admits she wasn't perfect. She calls herself a terrible apprentice who lacked structure, but she never stopped trying. What she did have was work ethic. When that door cracked open, she forced it wider through persistence, through humility, and a stubborn belief that she could make it. That mix of honesty and grit shaped her voice. Her early influences weren't Tattoo Flash. They were Saturday morning cartoons, Disney, Looney Tunes, Don Bluth. She learned to draw by hitting pause on VHS tapes and redrawing each frame until she understood exactly how it moved. Those bold outlines, exaggerated poses, and rhythmic color choices are still baked into her tattooing today. Her work is often labeled as traditional, but she calls it her own thing. Bold lines, bright worlds. It respects the rules of classic tattooing without being confined by them. If traditional tattooing is a language, Samazon speaks it with a cartoon accent. Her tattoos are readable, balanced, and built to last. The stories inside them bend toward humor, fantasy, and irreverence. She once said she loves anything with an outline, and that's not just a throwaway comment, it's a worldview. For her, outlines give order to chaos. They're what make nonsense legible and help humor hold shape. Whether she's tattooing a cowboy shrimp or a sacred heart, that same line discipline anchors it all. Color is her other superpower. She uses saturation like punctuation, each hue landing exactly where the story needs emphasis. Her oranges and reds hit like neon. Her blacks hold everything together, and her transitions from one tone to the next feel effortless. There's no timid color in her world. Everything is loud, confident, and most importantly, alive. She can tattoo something utterly ridiculous and make it sing. But she can also slow it down and create something delicate, structured, and deeply traditional. One of the things I love about her art is its range. Humor without sloppiness, sentiment without sentimentality. That makes her stand out in a very crowded field. Let's start the Weenie Hut Jr. Baba Yaga house. On paper, it's utterly absurd. A SpongeBob reference fused with Slavic folklore, but on skin. It's balanced and perfectly readable. Every element has its place. The cupcake house on chicken legs, the cartoon hot dog mascot waving from the roof, the saturated candy colors, everything about it is absolutely awesome. What could have been chaos becomes harmony through design. It's tattooing's version of a punchline that will still hold up in 20 years. Then there's the Bluey, a character rendered in solid yellow and orange, skirt twirling, revolvers in both hands. It's funny, it's simple, and it's deeply technical. You can tell she understands how a color story needs to flow. The yellow halo underpaint, the crisp red outline, and the minimal black. It's pure pop timing, the kind of design that looks fun, but is mathematically tight underneath. It says everything about her. Fearless, playful, rule-breaking, but always professional. On the other end of her spectrum sits the Longhorn Skull with the Cactus. This one could live on any flash wall from the last 70 years. The bold horns frame the piece. The skull is textured through stipple and whip shading. And the cacti, with their red fruits and dotted highlights, pull your eye down the composition. It's Western, it's timeless, and respectful of tradition. You can feel Denver in it. Desert meeting altitude, humor meeting heritage. Next up, her chainsaw tattoo. Done for a wildland firefighter. Might be my favorite example, how she balances sincerity and style. The flaming steel chainsaw looks pulled straight from a rock album cover. Fire, metal, motion. But it's also deeply personal. The piece honors her client's life and work, celebrating labor and danger with equal weight. There's nothing ironic about it. This is where her 1980s influence shines, that era when craftsmanship and spectacle weren't enemies. Next, her shrimp flash sheet. A shrimp with 6 shooters, a shrimp with a martini, a tiger-striped shrimp bursting out of a wave. This isn't just comedy, it's compositional confidence. The humor lands because the drawing is solid. Each shrimp has character, has its own pose, and perfect black placement. You can tattoo any of them, anywhere, and they'll heal beautifully. It's a reminder that fun and technical aren't opposites. Her black and gray vase with flowers proves that point even more. No tricks, just clean line work, measured shading, and full control. The design looks like it could have been painted on porcelain, restrained, but full of movement. It's her quiet side, the part that values discipline as much as imagination. It also shows her respect for tattoo tradition. Readable from across the room, timeless on the skin. Then there's the Red Rocks leaf tattoo, a mashup of Colorado pride and her love of bold geometry. The leaf's edges glow with red and gold gradients. She's built a miniature landscape of the Red Rocks amphitheater and a speckled night sky. It's the perfect metaphor for her Denver roots. A place of home, rendered in color, so saturated, it feels alive. All of these designs come from the same mind, but none of them repeat themselves. That's what makes her portfolio feel like a world instead of just a catalog. Each tattoo has its own personality, yet everyone carries her signature. Bold lines, bright worlds. Samazon's creative process has evolved from chaos into rhythm. She sketches fast, draws constantly, and says yes to projects that feel challenging but fun. She believes tattooing is a craft first, an art form second, and that distinction matters. That's why her tattoos read so clearly on skin. When she paints flash, she uses the same approach as her tattooing. No filler, no wasted space. Every inch of the paper works hard. Her shrimp flash and dungeon crawler Carl sets show how she builds universes through design. These aren't just illustrations. They're invitations for collaboration, giving clients a way to share in her own, very vivid imagination. Her painting goals this year are deliberate. Spit shading, rebuilding her flash wall, and preparing for a 2026 art show. She's even sewing her own convention banner. That handmade, DIY spirit ties her to tattooers of older generations who built everything themselves, from machines to signage to business cards. Her artistic diet is just as intentional. She's been reading more fiction, especially the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, and turning that inspiration into visual storytelling. You can see that influence in her humor. The way fantasy and reality overlap until you can't tell where one ends and where the other begins. Samazon's outlook on tattooing is clear. This is work, not a side hustle. It's earned, not inherited. She's vocal about how much effort it takes to do it right. She tells newer artists that most people who want to tattoo probably shouldn't. Not because she's gatekeeping, but because she respects the craft too much to downplay how difficult it can be. In her own words, be grateful, listen, take no shit, and always have a backup plan. It's tough love from someone who's lived it. That grit and humor coexist in her world the same way line and color do. You can see both in her self-portrait moments. Her out in the desert, sunglasses reflecting the sun, alien statue behind her. It's goofy and grounded all at once. And it's proof that she's comfortable living on the edge between sincerity and absurdity. I think it's an excellent photo. For her, tattooing isn't just about imagery. It's about communication. Getting an idea from one mind onto another body permanently and making it feel good for both sides. That's why her work has a range. Serious pieces for serious clients and pure fun for those of us who need it. Denver has become a quiet hub for American traditional tattooing, and artists like Samazon keep it thriving. The city sits between coasts, which means it absorbs influence from everywhere. West Coast boldness, Midwest humility, and East Coast respect for lineage. Samazon represents the new wave of Denver tattooers who carry tradition forward while adding their own weird and wonderful fingerprints. Her art feels like the city itself. High contrast, colorful, proud, and a little bit defiant. She brings mountain energy to a lineage built on sailors and circus performers, proving that American traditional can adapt to any landscape. When you see her work hanging on Copperhead's walls, surrounded by flash and reference art, you realize she's building her corner of tattoo history. One page, one design, one story at a time. Samazon's work reminds us that tattooing's strength has always come from contradiction. It's rebellious, but also disciplined. It's funny, but serious. Ancient, traditional, but always new. She embodies that balance. Someone who honors the old rules while proving that playfulness and tradition can share the same skin. Her tattoos tell small stories that hit at something bigger, a cultural through line that connects canvas to Denver connects cartoons to Flash, and more importantly, connects craft to a community. They show how far tattooing has come and how much further it can go when artists aren't afraid to take chances. Every artist leaves something behind. For some, it's their name on a wall. For others, it's the work itself. It's the images that travel through time on human skin. Samazon's legacy is already out there, walking around in full color. Chainsaws and cacti, hearts and shrimps, each one carrying a little piece of her humor and her heart. Her story also mirrors Denver's own, a place defined by reinvention, by attitude. It's where art grows wild and the weird is welcome. As her career keeps evolving, her mission stays simple. Keep working, keep painting, keep having fun. That's one of the things I love the most. She's serious about tattooing, but doesn't take herself too seriously. She reminds us that tradition isn't a cage, it's a foundation. You can build anything on it if you have the guts and the skill. I found the perfect full stop in her own words. I hope I can tattoo till one day I drop dead in my sleep after a long day of doing the things I love. The legacy of traditional tattooing lives in our skin and in our story. Thank you for being here. That was good. That felt good. All right, let's do some of this.